Welcome back to the People Podcast. If you've listened to some of the recent episodes, you'll know we've been talking about employee engagement, what drives it, why it matters, and how organizations can strengthen it. Today, I want to take the conversation one step further, because engagement does not appear out of nowhere. It is not created by surveys alone, and it is not created by policies. It is created by behavior. When we talk about engagement, we're really talking about how people feel at work. Do they feel valued? Do they feel heard? Do they feel safe? Those feelings are shaped every single day by leadership behavior. Two leaders can have the same qualifications, the same experience, and even the same strategy. Yet one creates trust and clarity while the other creates tension and confusion. The difference is not skill. The difference is behavior. Behavior shows up in everyday moments. It shows up in how feedback is delivered, how decisions are explained, how conflict is handled, and how leaders respond when things do not go to plan. When those behaviors are consistent and intentional, engagement strengthens. When they are reactive or unpredictable, engagement declines. Most organizations measure engagement. They run surveys and analyze the data carefully. But very few assess behavior with the same level of structure. And yet, behavior is what drives the outcome. Without behavioral insight, organizations rely on instinct, interviews, and personality impressions. But none of those approaches reliably tell you how someone will behave when they are under pressure. And leadership becomes most visible when things are difficult. This is where behavioral assessments become valuable, not as a label and not as a box, but as insight. It helps leaders understand how they naturally operate, how they respond to stress, and how their style impacts the people around them. Often, those impacts are not fully visible to the leaders themselves. Behavior should not be only considered at recruitment, but it certainly matters there. When hiring, behavioral insight helps assess alignment, readiness, and potential risk. It helps organizations understand not just whether someone can do the job, but how they are likely to lead within it. Behavior becomes even more important during promotion and succession planning. Technical excellence does not automatically mean leadership readiness. Many high performers struggle when promoted because their behavioral patterns do not align with the demands of leading others. Assessing behaviors at this stage reduces risk and strengthens succession decisions. Behavioral insight is powerful in leadership development. You cannot develop what you cannot see. When leaders understand their tendencies, especially under pressure, development becomes focused and intentional rather than generic. Conversations become deeper and growth becomes more sustainable. During periods of change, behavior becomes even more visible. In times of merger, restructuring, rapid growth, or uncertainty, pressure reveals patterns. Leaders default to their natural tendencies. Understanding behavior in those moments helps organizations protect culture and maintain engagement. It is important to be clear that behavioral assessment is not about categorizing people or limiting potential. It is about awareness. It is about understanding patterns so that leadership becomes intentional rather than accidental. This is where structured and credible behavioral assessment becomes particularly valuable. One of the partners we work with at Ethos of HR is Omnia Group. What I appreciate about Omnia's approach is that it focuses on behavioral insight within real organizational context. Their work supports leadership assessment, succession planning, executive development, and team effectiveness. Their assessments help organizations understand how leaders are likely to behave when it truly matters, especially under pressure and complexity. When behavioral insight is embedded properly, promotion decisions become more confident. Leadership risk is reduced. Succession pipelines become stronger. Most importantly, engagement improves because leadership becomes more consistent and intentional. If engagement is the outcome we want, behavior is the lever that drives it. If organizations assess skills but ignore behavior, they are only seeing half the picture. In the next episode of the People Podcast, I will be joined by Keather Snyder, who is the President and Chief Operating Officer at Omnia Group. We will go deeper into behavioral assessment, leadership impact, and how organizations can use these insights responsibly and strategically. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.